Hello and welcome to That VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair, your host today. Well, actually, I'm your host every day, so you're sort of stuck with me. But this is another episode, exciting episode of That VidBlaster, where we talk about great ways to bring about your passion to the whole world through the internet, through internet broadcasting, or what do we want to call it? Internet broadcasting, webcasting, video podcasting. There are lots of different ways to do it, or there are lots of different things to call it. But whatever it is, we're going to bring it out to the whole world over the internet with video and with audio. And sometimes we're going to do it live, and sometimes we're going to do it recorded, and sometimes, like today, we're going to do it both. We've got a great audience in the chat room today. If you're watching us live but aren't in the chat, we welcome you to the chat. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're delighted to have you watch us on YouTube. And maybe someday you can pop in on a Wednesday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern in the U.S., 8 o'clock in the evening in London. And you can adjust for wherever you might be. We'd love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can get a notice whenever we post a new video. And, most of them aren't worth watching, but every now and then there might be a gem that's worth it. We're going to do a split format show today, and something I've been experimenting with and want to kind of get a feel for. And I thought, well, no better way to do it than to do it live and to get some feedback on it, and it'll make a little bit more sense as we move on. But we're going to talk about a couple of different things today. I've got a great video that my friend Martin Kay from Manchester, England, has sent over about a really cool hardware product. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about VidBlaster's API and the macro function in that. And that'll probably be in the second segment of our broadcast today. So you'll want to hang around for that one. It will be a lot of fun. The main premise of this show is that one guy with one PC can do a very good broadcast. Sometimes awesome. It depends on how much passion you have about the subject. It might appear better if it's a subject you like. But it doesn't require a whole lot of equipment to do this, at least to get started. And, once you get started, it's like any hobby or any profession for that matter. You may want to start out with less expensive tools. And as you get into it a little deeper and become more proficient, then you can decide which of the more expensive tools you want to put in your toolbox. And that might be cameras or microphones, mixers, computers, monitors, capture cards, ancillary software. The list goes on and on of things that you can spend money on. Oh, yes, you can spend a lot of money doing this, but you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. The focus today for this segment is going to be on capturing video. And there are lots of different ways to capture video. One of the easiest ways to capture video is with a webcam. You can get a Logitech C920 webcam for under $100. I think it may be under $175 now. Now, the C920 is not the latest version. The C930 is the latest, but that means the C920 is a good value. It's high definition, 720, 1080p. In fact, it's what I'm using for this show today, the C920, and we're broadcasting at 864 by 480. So 480 tells you that's a standard definition stream, 30 frames a second, and we're recording the same way. We'll upload it to YouTube in that very same resolution and frame rate. And it's pretty good. It's not as good as HD, but it's the content, hopefully, that really is the message in this case. The other options, once you get past webcams, are to take your old video camera and connect that to your PC. Well, you can't do that with the supplied with the supplied USB cable, because that's only for data transfer, at least in most cases. And you don't want to use FireWire if you can help it, because FireWire almost always introduces a video delay, a lag between the audio and the video. So you want to try to stay away from FireWire if you can. And then it's like, okay, well, what else are my options? What else can I do? Well, most cameras are at least most of the ones that I've seen, and I'm definitely not a camera expert. And we're talking about, video cameras, handy cams, that kind of thing right now, camcorders. Most of those have a jack somewhere on them that with the label AV for audio video. And with it typically comes an AV cable that is 3.5 millimeter, and then on the other end of it are some RCA cables, the kind that we used to plug our speakers in when we had stereos with turntables years and years ago. And the RCA jacks generally will come in different colors. Typically yellow is the one that's reserved for video. And if you plug that, the 3.5 millimeter connector into your camera, and that means that you now have a video signal available on that RCA cable. Well, it's like, how do you get the video from the RCA cable into the computer? Well, again, there are a variety of methods. Probably the cheapest is something called an Easycap, which is a USB device that simply converts your video from that RCA cable to a USB that plugs into your PC. You can get those off of eBay. Probably the most reliable ones I've found are by a company called Easycap.tv. They're a little bit more expensive, but I've had them work every single time, and in fact, in some cases, I can run 2 or 3 off the same PC. You want to make sure you're not trying to share the same USB controller when you do that. But once you kind of move past that $30 device, and you say, I really want something that's higher quality, I really want something that I can plug right into my computer, maybe a card that will plug in. Then you start talking about some money. You can start talking about $200 for a Blackmagic Intensity Pro card, and that'll actually do high definition. StarTech has something called the PEX HD CAP, PEX HD CAP, and it's a single port high definition capture card that's under $200. Once you start moving into the hundreds and hundreds, you can spend some money pretty quickly, and sometimes you want to look at a card that will handle more than one camera at a time. Sometimes I've had up to 6 cameras connected here in my studio. There's some cards that'll handle two cameras, some that'll handle 4, and there's even one out there that'll handle 6. It's under $500 for 6 standard definition inputs. That's pretty cool. That's by a company called Magewell. In fact, we're coming up in just a few minutes. We've got a video that has been sent to us by our good friend Martin Kay from Zen Video in Manchester, where he reviews a Magewell product. Now, Magewell is a Taiwanese company that has come on the scene pretty recently. I say recently, the last year and a half, maybe last 2 years, with a variety of capture cards and really interesting things, like a capture card that will do 4 channels of standard definition, and in the same card, 1 channel of high definition. So you can have 5 video inputs on 1 card, 4 standard definition, 1 high definition. That has another card that'll do the 6 channels of standard definition in. Has another card that will do 4 channels that will connect HDMI and give you 4 channels of high definition video in. They have some other devices that plug in USB 3, and allow, in fact, one that allows 6 standard definition inputs on USB 3 through a little what would you call it? It's not really a dongle because it's about yay big. In fact, I've got one in my studio, but I hate to run across. I didn't realize I was going to get into this part of it quite so deeply. But it's Magewell, MAGEWELL.com, and you can see their product listing. And there are a couple of dealers that I know about. There's vprime.com out in Oregon, USA. There's Sabre, SABREPC.com. I'm not sure where they are, but they're in the States. And then our good friend Martin Kay at Zen Video is selling them in England and in Europe and I believe he's got them on the England version of eBay, ebay.uk.co or com. I'm not quite sure. You'll have to check. So there are lots of different ways to procure these cards, but you can go to the Magewell website and kind of scan for which card you want and then see which of the dealers have those cards. And I suspect there'll be other dealers coming online as time goes on for those cards. I have used the 6-port standard definition card successfully. I've used the 4-port standard definition and 1-port high definition card successfully. I think I've tried 1 or 2 others and didn't really have as much time with them as I probably could have, should have taken to dial them in. Whoops, excuse me, didn't mean to do that. There we go. And then more recently on the scene has been well, let me back up just a second. We'll go all the way back to the Easycap. I remember when I first discovered Easycaps, and I thought, oh man, this is the greatest thing in the world. You can run out there with a laptop and plug a couple of these in, and you're ready to go. And then people started saying, well, you know, what about one that does high definition? Well, that would be great. You know, what if you plug it into a USB 3 port, 3.0 port, and see if that makes a difference? No, it didn't make a difference. And there was a lot of talk for a while about people coming out with a USB frame grabber, is what they call it sometimes, or an Easycap that would do high definition. And finally, Magewell has come out with one that does high definition. It's kind of an interesting critter, and so I'm going to bring on my friend Martin Kay. Martin sent me this video earlier this week, and so let's cue that up and take a look, shall we?
If you need to feed live video into a computer and it's from an HDMI source, either a camera or a graphics card, and you're looking for a device that's portable, versatile, yet easy to use, Magewell have a USB solution that fits in the palm of your hand. Their XI100D USB 3 capture dongles are available in 2 versions, one with HD SDI and the other one with HDMI, like this one. Just plug in the video source, connect the USB 3 cable to the PC, and the device will automatically be installed on the PC as if it was a standard webcam. The red light indicates it's getting power, and the green light shows activity over the USB bus. More than one dongle can be connected to the same PC, and there's no drivers to install. And that's great if you need to use them on a variety of different machines, particularly so if they belong to other people and those people don't want extra driver software installing on their systems. The other good news is that it's compatible with a wide variety of USB 3 host controllers, including those found on motherboards with the Intel Ivy Bridge and Haswell chipsets. You'll notice that the way the video input appears on the Windows is as an imaging device, just like a webcam. This is unlike many video capture devices, which appear as sound, video and game controllers. Why this is significant is that some video software is primarily designed to work with webcams, so it might not accept video from other types of capture devices. Looking at the Device Manager Properties panel, you can see that the Magewell USB 3 dongle is using the default Microsoft driver. This means it'll always work with any Windows application that expects the input to be from a webcam. This includes things like Skype, Google Plus Hangouts, Flash Media Live Encoder, Wirecast, VidBlaster, vMix or XSplit. As for the audio, the USB 3 dongle shows up in the list of Windows recording devices, and it'll decode standard stereo audio that's embedded in the HDMI feed. In other words, plain, simple, uncompressed PCM stereo audio. It can't deal with things like Dolby Stereo or surround sound encoding. Let's look now at how the device appears in an application like VidBlaster. In the list of video sources, it appears as an XI100D USB HDMI device, And if you look in the resolution setting at the list of video pixel sizes, you'll see a list that looks like this, with sizes that go from 640 by 360 all the way up to Full HD 1920 by 1080 and beyond. And it'll capture a range of frame rates up to 60 frames per second. At the electronic input, the video resolution is always detected automatically. So what you're seeing here in the software is what the dongle is actually passing over the USB bus. Any scaling and frame rate resampling is done in the dongle itself. If you don't want the video to be processed externally, make sure you set the video resolution in the software to match the external source. The Magewell dongle is ideal for capturing computer output. When it's connected to a graphics card output, it appears like a multi-standard monitor, offering a wide range of PC and broadcast video resolutions and frame rates. This makes it quite easy to duplicate most resolutions used by the main display whenever this is required. In this example, the source PC is running in duplicate display mode at 1280 by 720, and an HDMI output is connected to the dongle. The dongle is then connected via USB 3 to a second PC running flash media encoder, and we're screen capturing the output of that. We've been doing all this using a USB 3 connection, but it's worth mentioning that the Magewell dongle will work in a limited way when connected to a USB 2 port. Of course, you'll only get full resolution and full frame rate if you use a USB 3 port, and that's because USB 2 doesn't have the bandwidth to support a full frame rate at the higher resolutions. Sometimes, though, that's not as big a limitation as it may first appear. For example, you may want to capture a PowerPoint presentation. You want the slides in HD, but they don't actually change very quickly, certainly not like the frames of a normal video. So in this instance, being able to capture full resolution over USB 2, albeit at a lower frame rate, is probably a perfectly acceptable compromise. Alternatively, you might have a camera source that you need to stream, which only outputs Full HD at 1080, and you need a full 30 frames per second to avoid jerky movement. Without compression, 1080 at 30 frames a second generates more data than the USB 2 bus can handle. But if you're streaming at a lower resolution, let's say 640 by 360, you can take advantage of the fact that the dongle scales the video before it sends it over the USB 2 bus. So setting the device output to 640 by 360, even though it's been scaled from a 1080 source, will actually work over a USB 2 connection. So that's pretty much it. The XI100D USB 3 dongle is small. It's easy to use. It handles a wide range of uncompressed video resolutions. It emulates a webcam and a standard audio recording device, and that gives it great compatibility with host applications. What more could you ask for? Giving them away free in breakfast cereal packets? I guess they don't do that sort of thing anymore, so you'll just have to buy one for yourself.
How about that? How about that? Well done, Martin. Well done, Martin. Now, Martin will be posting that on his YouTube channel shortly. He said he'll have it uploaded by Thursday, February. That would be February 13th, Thursday. So you can look at it again. Of course, you can always find it again here. But what a neat little device. I mean, great possibilities for that. Obviously, perfect for a laptop, for a quick and dirty, high-definition, portable studio type situation. If you have a powerful enough laptop, that is one that has more than one USB 3 controller, you can get 2 channels of high definition without a whole lot of effort, or 2 channels of standard definition on probably a less powerful laptop. Price-wise, Those are running about $300, $325 in the U.S., and that's U.S. dollars. Pounds is about 240, 250 plus shipping, and those are readily available. The possibilities, I think, are really tremendous for that. Now, is it pricey compared to compared to an Easycap? Yes. But it also, number one, the price could come down because that is somewhat, it appears to me to be somewhat new technology. I mean, USB 3 has been kind of a redheaded stepchild in a lot of situations because some of the early USB 3 controllers were just no good. They didn't work well consistently. When people created devices that would work on them, they didn't work well consistently. I know Blackmagic has had trials and tribulations with their Intensity Shuttle, which is essentially the Intensity Pro PCIe card in a USB frame grabber format, for lack of a better term. But it would be one channel of high definition video through USB 3.0. Martin is saying in the chat room, if you want to watch his video, just do a search for the Magewell USB 3 dongle, and that'll pull it up. And that would be a YouTube search. You know, YouTube is one of the top 5 search engines out there. So if you're looking for an answer to a question, you might find it on YouTube as easily and succinctly as you would somewhere else. I look forward to trying out one of these devices. I don't know that cost-wise it's what I'm looking for, because here in the studio it's a fixed environment. I can have multiple cameras with a multiple camera capture card for probably a better price than I can multiple USB 3 dongles. Plus, there is the USB 3 issue. I have had some USB 3 issues here on my PC. The PC is probably about 2 years old. I built it prior to starting this show in July of 2012 and have rebuilt it 2 or 3 times since then. I had a bad motherboard middle of last year and had to replace the motherboard, and then actually put a different motherboard in after that, and have gone through some changes with, not having video cards and using the onboard video, and then using video cards, and basically testing to try to see what the benefit was of different configurations so far as VidBlaster is concerned. As Martin said in his video, this device works well with VidBlaster. The fact that it uses the innate Microsoft Windows drivers, I think, is a huge plus, because that helps to ensure a lot of compatibility. At least it takes the software and the driver portion out of the picture, because it's using a generic driver. I think that was one of the things that I bumped into when I reviewed the Logitech C930, is that it didn't come with drivers. It used the generic driver that Microsoft provided. And for me, at first, that was a little bit of a turnoff, because I was used to the sort of the slick interface of the software that came with the Logitech C920, and how that software interacted with the drivers to make adjustments to the brightness and the contrast and all the other different kinds of adjustments that you can make. When I tried to adjust those with the C930, it basically brought me up a Microsoft a Windows window that allowed me to control that, and I was like, oh, what is this? It must not be as good, because it doesn't look as fancy. Although I think in retrospect it was probably exactly the same controls, and I was just put off a little bit by the fact that it was that gray Windows interface as opposed to something cool and slick looking from Logitech. I still have not found, and if you have found a way, I would love to know it. I have still not found. I have 2 C920s, and I cannot make the settings for them separately. Whichever one is recognized by the system first is the one whose settings get adjusted. Even if I log into the other one through the Logitech software, I still get whichever one has been hooked up first is the one that gets controlled. So if you've got a fix for that, I'd love to know it. I understand that there was a fix for that in Apple devices, but I haven't seen one yet in PCs. So we're looking for that. But hat tip to Martin, and thank you for sharing that video with us. Should be interesting to see, number one, how those sell, and number two, how they're adopted. I think the price may be a tad high for a single device, but at least for universal acceptance, but for folks that need something on the go, I think it's going to be a great device, great opportunity, and a great way to get the job done. So that's it for that. As we move into the next segment coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about VidBlaster's API and macro functions. This doesn't have anything to do with either one of those subjects, but I've got a wild hair the other day, and in a moment of weakness, I ordered an AverMedia C875. It's called a Live Gamer Portable. That is a streaming and recording device that I'm going to be playing with and see if that becomes a way. Again, going back to the one man, one PC mantra, if you've got a PC that's underpowered and is having problems streaming and recording, can we offload some of those duties to something else that's not a second PC? And so I'll be experimenting with this little device. It's about the size of a cell phone, and plugs in, I think, USB and HDMI, and has audio in, and we'll review that in an upcoming show. But if you've been considering one of those, then you'll want to tune back in and see what it looks like. And I'm already getting folks in the chat room that are volunteering to help. That's great. That's great. Okay, well, we're going to close out this segment of the show, and we'll be back with the next segment. We're going to run our end roll credits, even though it's not really the end of the show, but we'll let this one kind of go out there as one show in and of itself. So we'll be back after this break.